The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
I'm here to stand up for wrestling. I am here to give the fans a voice.
If you're not watching the promotion right now, you're missing out on something I think that could possibly shape the future of wrestling, and I mean this wholeheartedly, for the next 5 to 10 years.
Nobody can touch me. Nobody is better than Adam Cole.
This company is still existing, yet they have to do this at the 11th hour to make sure that they run these tapings. I thought TNA was going to be different, and I guess not.
This is truly the Kevin Owens Show.
Pentagon Jr. is the wind beneath my wing. The only thing that we get at 10 for sure, maybe at 11, is Ken Shamrock showing up.
Take a look back to 1986. There's a $1 million tag team tournament called the Crockett Cup that was the brainchild of none other than the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. In memory of Dusty Rhodes, for his legacy, we are going to prove this year, 2016, that the Revival is what we say we are, the absolute best tag team on this planet. Two men that can match the excitement of Dusty Rhodes, two men who can match the ego of Dusty Rhodes, because there ain't two men that are better than the two standing right in front of your camera right now. 2016, we add some hardware right here. That is the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. There's one thing left to do. Clink me. Top guys out.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wrestling to the Max. This is episode 214, part 2, guys, and we are ready for a big show for you today. Not only are we going to talk NXT, Lucha Underground, and TNA Impact Wrestling, but we're going to talk about Bound for Glory. That's right, it's happening this weekend. We are going to get into the entire card, break down and predict all the matches, and see if we are going to be correct by next week. You know, we'll be getting into a review, of course, when we get into next week. Plus, we'll be talking about some big news this past week. We've got a certain wrestler that will not be performing at Bound for Glory. Plus, we've got all sorts of rumors about Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro and their status with WWE, and a lot more other news that you're going to want to hear about, including some New Japan stuff. So, a big show for you guys. Plus, we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week. I'm excited about it. And as you can tell, I'm not in perfect shape. I'm not a little bit, but kind of under the weather. You know, trying to get over a little bit of this allergy crap that's been going around. It's, you know, Texas, it's fluctuating all the time when it comes to the weather. It's hot, it's cold, it's medium, and it's back to hot. So there you go. Allergy season is full in effect, even though it's coming to fall. Plus, we are a guy short right now. He'll be basically returning to us maybe here in a little bit. But right now, I'm your host, Gary Vaughn, and with me, our co-host, Mr. Paul Leeser.
Heyo.
And of course, Paul, right now you're playing producer too, because Sean is not with us at this moment. He is planning to be on, but he's still with family. He had some family stuff going on this past week. He's actually still out of town. So we are giving him a little bit of time to spend with the family. He is going to hop on here and hopefully do some predictions with us when it comes to Bound for Glory. But man, I mean, this is a new role for you right now, playing producer.
I tell you what, I don't know how Sean does all this. We're 5 minutes into the show. I'm still working on stuff. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. No one knows how hard of a job that Sean has and as much work as he puts into it. I mean, I know I come on here and I brag a lot about Sean, and I tell people he's the best producer in podcasting, and I truly believe that because I mean, he makes our life so easy. He's just like, okay, guys, here's your mission. Here's what I need from you. But he's never asking too much from us. And I mean, his back has got to be breaking on most weeks because not only does this show, he produces a couple of other shows that are not related to us at all. And then, of course, he does the Football at the Max show with me and all the other stuff he does. His own podcast, the video game podcast on the W2M network. So he is definitely hardworking. We appreciate everything he does, and we want him to definitely, get this time to spend with his family. And no matter what, Sean wants to be here, so he's going to make his presence known. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's going to be here. But anyway, we've got a lot, like I said, to talk about on this show, and I'm excited about it, and I hope you guys are too. We're going to do a little bit of a different lineup here because Sean will be joining us. We want to save NXT and Quick Hits till later in the show. That way he can give some of his opinions and his thoughts, and we're not skipping over him. So he was unable to watch all the other shows this week. So me and Paul are going to do our due diligence and talk some Lucha Underground. We're also going to get into, like I said, some TNA Impact Wrestling. And then hopefully by then we will have Sean on the line with us. But for now, I think it's time for us to go ahead and talk some Lucha Underground. I'm excited about it, and I hope you guys are. And of course, once again, we don't have all the drops. We're not going to play all the music for you guys because, Sean's usually doing this thing, and he actually has all the music in Miami, and he's not there. So we're going to run with this thing clean and dry without the music. Is that okay, Paul? I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes my life easier,
Exactly. So let's do this thing. Let's talk Lucha Underground.
All right, let's do it. As I scroll around the page here frantically.
Yeah, I know. If you're going to find it all, right? It's one of those things. It's so funny because I'm like, Sean, do you have it? And he's like, yeah, but I've got to finish all these clicking and all these 5 different things we got to go through. So
Yeah, like I said, like producing, it's so much easier when it's just you. When you're doing this and you're keeping up with social media and everything else that we do for the show, and it can run into a bit of a nightmare. But here we go. We finally have the review. If I can scroll down. All right. So Lucha Underground opens this week the same way they do every week. They do that swank recap video package where they talk about stuff that's going on last week and stuff that's been prevalent in the season that's going to pertain to what you're going to see tonight. And then we very quickly move on from there into Sexy Star. She's hanging out backstage in a locker room. Dario walks up to her, talks about how the Mac got hurt last week in his match with Mil Muertes and how he's really happy about it because, he enjoys violence, and says that Sexy Star should really be afraid of his brother and should just continue to defend the Gift of the Gods Championship and never turn it in for that title match because, she's going to be too afraid and she's just going to get beat. And Sexy is very adamant about the fact that she's never going to be afraid again, which refers to her as her feud with Marty and his sister Mariposa and all that good stuff. However, tonight, she's going to be competing in Atomicos action as her, Drago, Phoenix, and Aerostar team up to take on the Worldwide Underground. I love Atomicos matches. It's one of my favorite things about Lucha Libre. And we're going to see if that one is another great Atomicos, as this is only the second one Lucha Underground has ever done, or one that's going to be kind of a stinker. But we go from there to our first match as Prince Pumas takes on Sinestro de la Muerte. Pretty much an extended squash. Puma gets 95% of the offense, which is how it should be. Mil comes in near the end and tries to play interference. However, Puma kind of shoves him out of the ring and then stares him down as he hits Sinestro with his own, with Mil's own finisher, the flatliner, and gets the 1-2-3 after that. And then they have a big brawl afterwards, and Katrina sort of has to hold Mil back after Mil throws him back in the ring. And I'm all about this feud, Gary. And there seems to be a shift in evolution for Prince Puma, being more of a less fun-loving and more of a serious, very toned-down character of wanting and very focused on his mission to get his mojo back.
Yeah, he is, and it's something different. It's a little bit on the serious side, like you're saying, and I kind of find it interesting because it shows that he does have some duality about him. But once again, I love the Prince Puma that I had grown to know and to learn to love, and so this is a little bit different. I'm okay with it. I like that they did this whole thing because it makes sense to have Puma getting all that offense, doing really well, and then Mil Mortes coming out and trying to take him out. I appreciate that. It's something that it basically is saying, I don't care what you do to anybody else, you're not going to do that to me, and that's what Mil Mortes is basically kind of showcasing here to Prince Puma. But I think the crowd loved it. They definitely enjoyed watching Prince Puma do his thing, and then of course you get the whole heat with Mil Mortes.
Yeah, I'm with you. The crowd is so into the Puma story and everything that he does. So he could go out there and wrestle a wet paper bag and squash it in 2 minutes. They're gonna pop like crazy for it.
Yeah, very true. That's true. I know. I'd probably pop too.
Yeah, maybe the bag would too.
Get it.
So we cut backstage to Dario's office after that. Cortez Castro walks in. Dario stands up from his desk and gives him this really awkward hug because Castro just has no idea what to do with it. And he says he called Cortez in because he wants to check on him and apologizes once again for the loss of Mr. Cisco. And Dario is adamant that they're going to find the murderer and says that it must have been Big Rick. And he brings back the whole cigar incident from way back in season 1 because Lucha Underground's awesome like that. And Dario, of course, we already know that Joey Ryan has ratted out Cortez to Dario that he's actually a cop. And Cortez has a match coming up, as you can hear Melissa Santos in the background announcing him to the ring. And Dario says to go out there and win one for Mr. Cisco. So after that big rah-rah speech, he's got Pentagon Dark. And you already know where this one's going, folks. He gets dealt with in maybe 2 minutes. Dario, it's very aware now to Cortez, hopefully, that Dario knows who he is. And Pentagon, after putting him away with the package pile driver, snaps his arm after the match. Because, Dario's, and Pentagon, they're both beasts.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. And man, I mean, no matter what, Pentagon Dark, Pentagon Junior, I don't care what version, I love him to death. And this is just a fun to watch. I know it's sick and disgusting, but I just love to see him being dominant. There's something special about it. There's a few guys in wrestling right now that it seems like no matter what they do, I'm still going to be a fan of. Pentagon Dark, and even Punisher Martinez. I mean, those are a couple of guys that, some reason, some wow in my mind, I love them. And so he could, once again, this guy could go out there and break a grandmother's arm, and I'd be like, yes, do it.
I think that entire temple would be right there with you, rooting him on as he snapped that poor old lady's arm. Who's probably just confused and dazed of why she's here.
True that. True.
So Pentagon after the match grabs the microphone and runs down Dragon Azteca Jr. and Chavo because the winner of their match tonight gets to face him in the future, which it might be next week even. And he pretty much just calls them, like, they stand no chance against him no matter who it is because he's Pentagon Dark and Zero Miedo as it goes. And then we get to our Atomicos match, which, of course, as I mentioned, is your trios champions of Aerostar, Phoenix, and Drago, teaming up with Sexy Star, who is your Gift of the Gods champion, taking on the Worldwide Underground of Johnny Mundo, Jack Evans, PJ Black, and Taya. This match is fast-paced from the bell. There's a lot of wonderful tandem offense, and the pace just keeps getting quicker and quicker until it finally breaks down into the chaotic mess that you really enjoy out of these matches. And Mundo ends up sneaking into the ring, super kicking Sexy into a Jack Evans pinning predicament that gives Worldwide Underground the win. There's a lot of great spots in this, and it would be, I think it would behoove us to go through all of them. But Aerostar especially stuck out to me in this match. He is so good, he's so fast, and he's so smooth through the air, and I just absolutely love him for it. And also after the match, when the guys are in the ring celebrating from Worldwide Underground, Taya is holding her ankle on the outside and crying out in what felt like some pretty real cries of pain. So hopefully she's not hurt, because I really like Taya a lot. I think she's one of the better wrestlers overall that they have on the show, and it would really suck if she had to miss a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. And You just don't know, if it's a shoot or not. But if so, that's definitely not a good thing. And you hope that she gets better. Of course, these are all taped. We already have a lot of this taken care of, but we don't have that luxury of knowing if she was actually hurt at that time. So I'm really kind of curious to see the update on that, where we go. I definitely, like I said, hope that that's all just her playing it up really well and selling it to the crowd. Yeah, what a fast-paced match. I mean, we could not go through any of those. If we went through the entire list of the moves that took place in this, let's just say it this way: you guys would be an hour into the show and we'd still be talking Lucha Underground. So, just because we'd be like really enjoying talking about some of these great things that happened during that match. But I still, like I said, it's nice, it's fun, it's Lucha Underground all the way in that match. That's what I appreciate about it. So, definitely a great job.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed the match overall, too. I don't know if I mentioned my enjoyment of this. But once again, Aerostar, give that guy a belt. He, something singles-wise, because he absolutely deserves it, I think.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that.
Backstage, we have Mil Muertes, who's in some sort of altar room. Sinestro de la Muerte is bowing in front of him, and Katrina comes up and says that he wants to apologize and come back into the fold. She says that he's a failure and failed them for the last time, totally quoting Darth Vader, breaks his neck, and then steals his soul. It's absolutely, incredible. She breathes it back out and into Mil Muertes' body, and then she tells Mil that she pretty much wants him to do the same to Prince Puma. So that's not foreboding or anything.
Yeah. Oh wow! I just want you to do this. Just want
Go murder him and take his soul. Be a necromancer.
Take it. Yeah, it reminds me of my daughter the other day said that she wanted me to be a ghost, and my wife said that we can accomplish. So I think that's what basically is happening here, saying, "Hey, make him a ghost. I'll accomplish it."
Oh, nothing like murdering your own children.
But no, she wants to kill me. She wants to make me the ghost. So,
I thought she.
Yeah. She has been watching Halloween or something on not the movie, but probably some cartoons with Halloween themes. And she said that I want to make Daddy a ghost, and my wife's like, I can accomplish that. So,
okay.
Just be warned, people.
I thought she was saying she wanted to be a ghost.
No, no Casper around this house. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we move on to our main event. The winner gets a match with Pentagon Jr. Your special guest referee is Rey Mysterio as Dragon Azteca Jr. takes on Chavo Guerrero. I was not a large fan of this match. I thought it was very slow. And I understand the point they were trying to tell you Chavo's in control. Chavo likes to work a slower match. And Azteca sort of only gets these brief flashes of offense until Chavo finally has him locked up in that single leg crab. Azteca reaches the ropes very clearly, but Chavo says he's tapped out. He argues with Rey, he shoves him, and then he punches him afterwards, and Rey hits him back, which allows Dragon Azteca to get the win with the big head scissors takeover, completely out of nowhere. And then post-match, Chavo tries to attack Rey again, but Rey ends up beating him up and hitting him with a 619. Dragon Azteca just looks hella weak, and I'm sure that's the point. He's supposed to be a rookie. But he stands absolutely zero chance against Pentagon Dark next week.
That's what they told you. I mean, that's exactly what they're telling us here.
Mm-hmm.
And if they prove otherwise, I guess it'll be a nice surprise. But this is kind of silly. And I'd be honest with you, I like Dragon Azteca. I don't know why he has to be made to look like this. I don't know that direction. I get you said make him look like he's the rookie, right? I get that, and okay, but at the same time, I think he could have looked a little better. I'm sorry. I mean, I look at sports and I look at rookies all the time. They're doing just fine, and I don't know. I just hate it. I like Dragon Azteca. I hate that for him. But in the long run, is it going to make a difference? No, because Pentagon Dark's going to take care of whoever comes into that ring with him.
Right. And I mean, it feels especially insulting because we've seen him hang with the bigger names in the trios tournament that these guys were in last season.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had no trouble then. And yeah, you could say it's a trios match and he could tag out and whatever, but he's hung with the big guys before. Chavo isn't Chavo isn't any better than anybody he ever faced in that tournament.
Well, and Chavo's a guy that has history, and if you ask me personally, yes, he's going to be smarter because he is a veteran. He's a guy that's been around forever. But on the other hand, you would think that age would catch up to him, and with Dragon Azteca being the younger guy, I kind of feel like, he'd be kind of wearing down Chavo.
hmm
And then Chavo finds his veteran ways to win the match. I appreciate that more than kind of what we got here. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And we have one last segment here. Black Lotus is standing in front of a shrine dedicated to her father as she's lighting candles and stuff for him. And she says that even though she killed the man who murdered him, she's not done with the temple just yet. She's going to use the Black Lotus Triad, which is a ninja clan. There are freaking ninjas inside the temple now, folks, to destroy Pentagon Dark for stealing the mask of the original Dragon Azteca. And yeah, there's ninjas involved now, Gary.
This is amazing. If only they could be green and they could be teenagers. I'd be sold completely on this. But yeah, that's awesome. Ninjas, I don't care. Hopefully that's exciting. Hopefully they show up and they do what they're supposed to. I just, hopefully it's not too cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, but then again, cheese is the name of the game when it comes to Lucha Underground, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm okay with cheese to an extent, but I hope it's not so cheesy that I'm like, oh, I could care less. I want it to be special. I want it to be what I'm excited about seeing. So, and it probably will be. I can't undersell what Lucha Underground does because, to be honest with you, for the most part, they do a great job in their production.
Very true.
So, all right. Well, that is Lucha Underground for you guys for this week. We are going to now head on over and we are going to talk some TNA Impact Wrestling. And also, after that, we are going to break down Bound for Glory. So, we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Like, once again, saving quick hits a little later. If you're just now joining us, we're going to be doing that later on in the show. Well, Paul, I mean, we had an Impact that was full of things to prepare us to get ready for that big show coming up. So why don't we go and jump into that?
Let's go ahead and do that. And the big thing with Impact this week, as Gary just said, it's a go home, and it is a go home in the strictest sense because they are building a lot here, chiefly built around Lethal Lockdown, as Lashley and EC3 are leading teams to go inside that steel cage with all the weapons dangling and whatnot to decide who gets to choose the stipulation for their world title match at Bound for Glory. So they open the show with EC3 and Lashley pretty much bringing out their teams, and EC3's team is him, Aaron Rex, Moose, and Gail Kim. Lashley has himself, of course, Drew Galloway, Mike Bennett, and Maria, which are pretty much your bigger singles matches that aren't broken, if you catch my drift. And EC3 wants Lashley to pretty much be the first man inside Lethal Lockdown, and Lashley agrees. So there's some tension there building between those guys, and then we get to the match. And I really enjoyed the match overall, personally. Team Lashley wins. Lashley goes on to name the match as a no-holds-barred match, and I'm honest to God, I didn't mind it any second of time that they used building this matchup tonight.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it's kind of funny. I'm just going to start at the beginning when they were kind of going down their names of guys that they wanted on their teams, and I thought it was kind of funny that they took a page out of what WWE does in their production by they use a name, then you see the guys and their entrance music playing behind them and all that kind of stuff, and I get that. That's kind of some kind of a cool production trick. I appreciate it. But I just thought it was funny they kind of took that formula. And then the fact that they did choose women in this match, which is not a problem, I just thought it was kind of funny. But now, when you're thinking about it, you've got to consider, why do they choose two guys in the Grand Championship match coming up? Why do they choose two other guys that'll be, facing off, and of course, the women's knockouts title match will be including, guess who? Oh, let's guess Gail Kim and Maria, who is the knockouts champion. So it was all a formula. It makes sense. I just kind of questioned, why they even had to choose, because that was blatantly obvious. I think if I was in their shoes, if it was a shoot, I'd be choosing some of the biggest and baddest talent. Like Tyrus would have been on my team, to be honest with you. I would have got him or somebody else. But I get where they're going with it creative wise. But if I wanted to think about it from the reality standpoint of what I personally would have done, I wouldn't have chose Marie. I wouldn't have chose Gail Kim. I would have chose a bigger guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think in retrospect, I mean, really, they're just trying to build up all the feuds, and this does a fine job of that, as they do throughout the rest of the night. They have a lot of segments, like Maria and Gail Kim have a talking segment. Moose and Bennett, I believe, get the sit-down interview to hype up their match. You have a bunch of other Lashley talking to his team. Lashley wins the draw to have the man advantage, stuff like that throughout the night. And I mean, while it's all well and good, I don't know how much really got built outside of Lashley and EC3's match, and maybe Moose and Bennett to an extent, but Galloway and Aaron Rex, I think they had a sit down too, talking about their Grand Championship match, if I remember correctly.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. We just watched this last night, but from what I do remember, they did have a conversation where Galloway was basically saying, "Hey, I'm excited about facing against you, blah blah blah." Kind of giving him some respect to Aaron Rex, which is good. But at the same point, I mean, it really was not a lot. Let's be honest, there was not much there. And then of course, I want to go back to Michael Bennett, and of course, when we have Moose sitting there in their confrontation, I kind of like that. I like this sit down for the reason you have Moose once again talking about the NFL and all the things he's accomplished, and what they used to do back then to guys that were always yapping and running their mouth and things like that. I love the fact you have a guy like Mike Bennett sitting there saying, "This is not the NFL. Quit living in the past. This is not. This is something completely different. And when you face me, you're going to be facing something you've never seen." I appreciate that. I think it's kind of interesting because, you have so many times the announcers put over, "Oh, he was in the NFL. And Mike Bennett's just straight up telling you, "Dude, this is not the NFL." And I appreciate that. It made sense to me. And to be honest with you, I don't think Moose did a bad job. You could definitely tell Moose is still getting used to being in that position of, I've got to use the mic, I've got to use it to build myself, I've got to be creative. And he's getting there. Is he there all the way? No. But I think that this definitely was a good step in getting him in that direction. And I appreciated that. So that sit down was fine. You hop on over to talking about the knockouts. And, I've been so not degrading, but I've been not a big fan of what they've been doing. And you've heard me talk about this a ton, Paul. I just think that it's kind of boring. They don't give you a lot. But I do appreciate kind of what they were doing here to an extent. I think that they did they brought in we'll talk about a new star coming into the knockouts division. But when it comes to Maria and the way she's treating Allie and how that's going to run down to this big match coming up with her and Gail Kim, I keep thinking there's some possibilities of some things happening in that match between her and Gail Kim that could involve Allie either screwing her over or helping her to try to keep continuing this whole thing of Maria being champion and she gets to be in her good graces. So I kind of like it. I kind of like what they did in this episode because it kind of gives me hope that there is a better future for it.
Yeah, and talking about Allie, we'll go ahead and just talk about that knockouts match too before we move on to the broken stuff. But Madison Rayne takes on newcomer Laurel Van Ness, who is out there with Allie. Allie plays a part in this simply because Van Ness is yelling at her sort of in the same way that Maria does for messing up and getting involved and whatnot. Laurel goes over Madison Rayne about 4 minutes. She has an axe kick. I wasn't overly impressed with this. But I think your point about Allie is very true. She's definitely going to be involved in that Knockouts title match. And I don't know if we're going to get the full turn. I hope we do, just because she is the only thing that's keeping me interested right now. They've kind of crapped the bed on everybody else in that division, but Allie seems to be the one thing they've been getting right recently more often than not.
I totally agree. I really do. It's for the fact of now you're not just getting the whole slide at her of, oh, well, you screwed up this, or, you should have done this. Now it's, you're stupid. She's just blatantly just denouncing this poor girl over and over and over again and just in her face. And she's talking highly of other people like this new talent that came in, and she in fact says, "You do whatever she needs you to do, Allie." And that kind of puts Allie in a bad situation. She actually was a knockouts champion for what, a week, I guess. So it's kind of funny. We're seeing that build and build and build, and it's something that you care about. Whereas the rest of this and all the other storylines, when it comes to that division, you've had very little to care about. And not to demean Gail Kim, I get it. She's a legend, but honestly, been there, done that 100 times. It's nothing special. It's nothing new. Why should we care? I mean, does it really matter that Go Kim has a, what is it, 50th, 16th, whatever, how many times she's held that TNA Knockouts Championship? It doesn't really matter. So you're right. That is the bread and butter at this moment. And it's so funny. A person who's basically a manager is the bread and butter of that division at this minute. It's so funny to say that, but really, honestly, it kind of is.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. And I mean, hopefully they can get, like, they have so many things to write outside of the things that they're doing, really well, their main event scene and all that good stuff. But there's a lot of problems still here in TNA, so hopefully if they do get the green light to keep on rolling, then they can fix some of these at a later date. But let's talk about the stuff that I'm sure a lot of people are tuning into TNA for, and that's for the Broken Matt Hardy stuff. On this episode, Rosemary has a match with Rebby Sky, Broken Rebby, to one-on-one. They go one-on-one. The whole Broken Clan's at ringside, Decay's at ringside, so you already know where this is going. It pretty much breaks down. There's a lot of intensity here. Rebby gets a DQ victory after Rosemary missed her, and this leads to the big brawl, and we get a nice side effect from Rosemary on Rebby through a table, as well as the Decay, Brother Nero, and Broken Matt battling up into the production area and all these other places, and it's really cool. They get a lot of great hype videos throughout this episode too, and I'm so into this. This could be the entire 2 hours. I'd be enthralled every week.
And to be honest with you, when I turn on Impact every week now, I keep thinking, when are we going to get to that? When are we going to get to the Decay? When are we going to get to the Hardys, Broken Matt Hardy, whatever you want to call them? That's what I want to get to every week, and I just bide my time till I get there. I completely agree with that statement. If it was there the entire 2 hours, I'd be glued to my TV no matter what. And those videos that they put together, the whole packages that basically, if people had not seen the whole feud that led you through the entire process, the entire feud, were very well done. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I thought to myself, I mean, this is WWE level in a way. Maybe people would disagree. I don't know. I just think they did that good of a job with the editing, with the storytelling that they did in those video packages. I appreciated it. It made sense. In fact, I sat there and watched them. I'm very much a guy that, if I've seen it, skip. I don't need to see it again. I sat through it. And that shows you how much it was a special thing, how good it was. So I appreciated it, and I think, looking at this whole, situation now, you're excited about this big, war that they're going to have at Bound for Glory. But, I love the sneak peek of Rebby Sky, with Rosemary here. It was special. It was something cool. You got to see a brawl at the end. That's what you expect. And of course, with Rebby going to that table, you see how serious they're going to take this. And I'll get into my predictions about the Great War later. But right now, at this minute, with Rosemary laying on that table over Rebby and saying "Decay, decay," it just shows you how important that is to them. How violent they're ready to be. Because that's it. Think about this. They've been portraying Rebby this entire time as a mother, and primarily a mother. Yes, she has, done other things in the past, but in this feud, in this story, it's always been about she is King Maxwell's personal protector, the mother, the nurturer. The entire time it's been about her going after Rosemary because, she's protecting her child. So I love that. This is basically a way to say, the mother now is in danger. And I like that. It's something that's It's a little bit of psychology. It's a little bit of just everything that's great about this feud. So I'm with you, Paul. I love it, and I can't wait to the Great War to see what's going to happen further.
Yeah, that should really prove to be something incredible, and it's one of the chief reasons why I want to watch that pay-per-view. But we got a couple other things to get through on this episode.
I want to ask you one last thing before we move on.
Yeah.
Look at the way that they're doing this whole process and the way that they've treated this, even in the second battle that they had. I think it's kind of funny. Have you noticed that really Broken Matt has been facing Abyss, and for the most part, Broken Matt has really kind of gotten maybe 60-40 on the offense, whereas you're looking at the other side and Crazy Steve is kind of usually getting most of the offense on Brother Nero. And I think that's kind of a funny dynamic. It makes me wonder if that's going to switch to Great War. I've noticed that narrative through this whole process that it just seems like Crazy Steve usually gets the upper hand, whereas Abyss kind of takes a back seat at times to where it's Broken Matt doing most of the offense. I don't know. Have you noticed that, or is that just me reading into it too far?
It might be you reading into it a bit too far, but they do pair those guys up more often than not, which might be something to note going forward. Especially in the backstage stuff where Abyss he electrocutes Broken Matt and Nero, he gets the piss beat out of him by Steve. But there's some great moments I think you could have by switching him up, and even then, I almost feel like it's built into the narrative that maybe Nero's getting his butt kicked so bad is because he's still trying to channel that spot monkey side of himself that Broken Matt tried to break him of during that training montage we got with all the animals. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how all that's going to play out in the Great War. I'm interested to see how taking Rebby out, which that seemingly was the reason why they did the side effect through the table, was now Rebby's not going to be there at Bound for Glory, possibly. Or maybe she's like late coming out or something like that, but it's certainly cast doubt as to, who's got the more people on one side, and that seemingly has mattered very much in this war between the Broken Clan and the Decay.
Definitely.
Yeah, and looking around the rest of the show, we have an X Division title defense as DJZ takes on Eddie Edwards. He ends up defeating Eddie in about 5.5 minutes. We get some Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett run in and attack both guys post-match, which a lot of people have been reading into that maybe being the possible X Division title match, although with Drew Galloway now officially being out of Bound for Glory, that could turn into a triple threat instead of a four-way. But at any rate, this is about the same stuff we've been getting from the X Division the entire time. You have the title, I want the title, let's fight. Here's some other guys who also want the title.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so interesting about this. And I just have to say I appreciate this whole process and what they're doing with that. And I mean, I think it's cool. I'm excited about it. And I look at, you got this whole, division as now being not rejuvenated, but it's got its own special feeling. I don't know. I'm enjoying the direction they're going with it.
If they ever decide to start building these guys past you have title, I want title, I'm more than willing to get on board. But until they get to that point where they're willing to invest creatively into this division, it's going to be nothing more than just watch these guys have a fight. Sort of like what the Cruiserweight division sort of is right now on Raw. It's sort of the same way. You have belt, I want belt, let's fight. And there's not a ton of real big draw to characters yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like DJZ, and it's weird to say that because I've never really had a lot to say about him. I like him in a weird way. To an extent, he kind of annoys me. He's kind of like T.J. Perkins, to be honest with you. And I haven't said this a lot on our shows, but T.J. Perkins kind of comes off as a young guy, but sometimes I kind of feel like he's kind of snarky. He's kind of like that kid who's like, yeah, I'm a giant nerd, but I'm better than you. That's kind of why that feeling I get from them, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I should like you or hate you.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I get from DJZ as well. But on the other hand, saying all that, I still enjoy him. And I like the fact that, like you said, he's putting up the belt. He's saying, hey, come fight. Who wants to fight? Let's do this. But you're correct. We need more stories. We need better stories. And we need to see these guys come out and really say, this is why I want this belt. This is who I am. And this is what I'm going to do to you to get it. And then get a story going. Get something that's going to mean something to other people. Because you're right. No one's going to get behind any of these guys if they don't have reasons to care about them, to care about why they're going to win that belt or why they're trying to win the belt. Otherwise, it's just a match and it's another title.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And other than the brief Cody Rhodes promo video that they showed, that pretty much does it for Impact.
Yeah, and that Cody Rhodes video once again. I mean, you can't say Cody Rhodes' name full, so I like the fact that they had to say the Rhodes to Bound for Glory or whatever. I love that. So it's kind of a little cheap way for them to add the last name in there, but we'll see. All right. Well, that is, of course, like Paul said, your Impact. So that will bring us to go ahead and jump into this card itself. And we have, I believe, it's 6 matches in all on this card, which is very interesting because, when we do WWE, shows, usually we at least have 7 or 8, but they also have their kickoff show. But this is what we have for Impact, and I'm excited. Now, we have a 10-man Bound for Glory Gold Gauntlet match here. And this one's going to be very interesting. We have a few names here. I'll go ahead and run through them. We got Tyrus. We got Robbie E. Jesse Godders. We also have Baron Dax. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. We also have Grotto, one of my favorite guys. We have Mahabharajira, how you say his name. We also have Rockstar Spud, one of my favorites. We have Braxton Miller. Or Sutter. Man, Braxton Miller. I'm talking about the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
Braxton
you are.
Sutter. The Eli Drake. And someone that we don't know. And I think that someone we don't know is Cody Rhodes. Am I wrong on that?
I think you're exactly right. I think it is Cody.
So this is going to be a big match full of guys that either you hate, you love, or you're indifferent with. But I think this is a good group of guys. I mean, at the end of the day, Paul, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, yeah, I got a few fan favorites. I got some guys I would love to see getting beat down, but it's hard for me not to say that Cody Rhodes isn't going to walk out of this as, the Golden Gauntlet guy, the winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if that last spot's Cody, this is going all to Cody Rhodes. If it's not, then I'm going to go with Tyrus. And maybe Rockstar Spud as a dark horse, but certainly Tyrus feels like he's going to get a big push with this sort of fixer gimmick he's got going on.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it in our actual analysis of Impact, but they did have Eli Drake talking to Tyrus, and he actually got into the whole shtick of I want you to be my guy,
Mm-hmm.
So. I have actually Mr. Sean calling right now, and I want him to be on the line, but I don't know how to add him without messing us up here. I'm actually going to call Sean back myself. That way we don't disconnect our whole entire show. But go ahead and talk about that real quick for me. Kind of give me an idea of what they got going with that, because I think that's where you're going with. If you think Tyrus, it's because of that, right? Because they kind of had a little segment.
Yeah, I mean, the segment in that episode of Impact, Tyrus, Eli Drake approaches him. He wants to hire Tyrus to sort of protect him and guide him through that gauntlet match, so that he can win. And Tyrus, of course, isn't down for that. He says he'll gladly beat Eli Drake's ass for free, as I'm sure most of America would, because I still can't stand that guy. And Tyrus moves on from there. For me, Rockstar Spud's sort of a dark horse, because even though they haven't been doing it on Impact, all over Twitter, all over Explosion tapings, Rockstar Spud has this sort of seething hatred for anything and everybody, and I think there's something there that they should really run with.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. I think that they need to run with him eventually, especially, man, the money that they're paying, whatever they are paying. I think that they need to use him because that was the whole reason of bringing him into this company is WWE wasn't using him. They didn't care about him. This is a guy I think they felt like we can definitely do something with him since they're not. So if Cody Rhodes isn't the guy winning this Golden Gauntlet match, I 100% agree with you. It's got to be Tyrus. But now we got, Sean Garmer is finally with us. Sean, how's it going?
Doing okay.
Good, man.
Just now all these people in here doing karaoke, so I was like, I'm done with this thing for the night. So yeah, glad to be back doing this again.
I bet, man.
And glad to be heading home tomorrow so we can be done with this. All this having to do everything backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if you hear the ambient noise, Sean is doing us a big favor and he's stepping away from a family function, but he is also outside. So just to let you know.
Yeah, I'm having to be out. I'm having to use my computer, but I'm outside. So.
But you sound great. You sound crystal clear. That's what matters here. It's not a problem. But we're running down this whole Bound for Glory card, and the first match we just went through was the Golden Gauntlet match. And I don't know if you know everybody in that match. Did you already have a guy you kind of thought was going to win?
Well, this seems pretty. What is this? I'm sure Cody is going to be the person in the Golden Gauntlet. That's TVA.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not him, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's how you debut a guy, is to have him show up and win here.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, I'm really curious if, we're going to see Brandy Rhodes come out with him or if she's going to be anywhere on that show because she's also, going to be a part of the Knockouts division. So I'd like to see that, to see if they actually bring her name up or at least show her. Talking about the Knockouts division, let's go ahead and talk about that Knockouts championship match between Maria Kanellis-Bennett and Gail Kim. And this one's kind of interesting to me, guys, because of the fact that Gail Kim, could be the easy pick because you think, oh, well, she's going to the Hall of Fame. Now this is her opportunity to win the belt. But I'm not so sold that they're going to give her the belt just yet. Maria, to me, is someone that could definitely do a lot of justice with the belt, hold that over people's heads. How do you feel?
As we said earlier, I certainly think Allie plays a huge role in this. I'd really love it if she actually screws up and ends up somehow allowing Maria to retain the championship. And plus, the heat is on Allie to take the belt back from Maria now. So I think Maria needs to retain here, and they'll figure out some crazy shenanigans for that way to go down.
Yeah, I think Gail Kim's going to win. They've been doing this story for too long. They'd be stupid to carry it on past Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory needs to be the end of your feuds. And let this be Gail Kim's moment, and then you figure out what you're going to do with Maria or how she's going to get back at this. And, yeah, they've been building this thing up with Allie for so long. This has got to be the moment where you have her cost Maria the match and Gail Kim wins. Maybe not due to that, all the way, but partially.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand that point, and, I would think it would be the time to end all the feuds, but just like sometimes at WrestleMania, sometimes they just don't do it. Sometimes they want to have that hangover to later on and to solve that whole issue that you're seeing come to fruition at the big show. So I'm actually going to pick Maria. I feel like that could be the possibility, even if it's Allie helping her to win or, some other circumstance. I don't know. I feel like Maria just got that belt. I don't know why just throw it to somebody else immediately, but that's just me. So as we go on and talk about some of the great matches on this card, we also have some stuff that's, kind of interesting with Moose and Mike Bennett himself. They will be taking on each other, and this is kind of an interesting one as well because this is a big singles match that a lot of people are interested in just because of this is Moose's big, moment here, and to take a big victory over a guy that's really been shined and showcased and just been a big part of TNA. I don't know. I mean, how do you feel? I think, this is a given for me. I think Moose is going to win.
I think you're absolutely right. This is a given. Moose wins. no matter how long they drag this out or how much they try to make Mike Bennett look like he matters in this match, ultimately I don't think he's really done too much for the company, and I don't think he's that main event star that they really want him to be yet. Um, However, they do have something brewing between Moose and Lashley in this big, like, epic clash they want to build up there, so Moose definitely going to get this win.
Yeah, they've done well with Moose so far in handling him, and I think it would be kind of dumb to have him lose his first kind of big match that he's having here, especially on pay-per-view. This is kind of built for Moose to win.
Yeah, I think we all in agreement with that. So let's talk about the Grand Championship, and this is going to be the inaugural winner, whoever wins this match, and it's going to take place without Drew Galloway. Now, he's been injured. We'll get more into that later on in the show. We'll talk about that situation, but what we have now is Aaron Rex is no longer going to be facing him. He'll be facing off against Eddie Edwards, who was actually, pretty impressive in the tournament leading up to this big match. I think that for me personally, Eddie Edwards is a great wrestler, but you got to go Aaron Rex because, hey, once again, a big star debuting recently. You got to give him the belt if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm curious if this throws up into the air whether the original plan was to always put this championship on Aaron Rex and give him a platform to stand on, or if this was going to go to Drew. And I mean Eddie Edwards, I still think is a guy that you want to promote, you want to push forward, and especially because we don't know when or if Davey Richards is coming back. So I want to go with Eddie, but I'm gonna say Aaron. I'm gonna say Aaron Rex wins this too.
It's possible that the idea was for Drew to win, and that's how you have the EC3 and Drew deal. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they book all of these matches now, considering what they have to do change on the fly. It seemed like Eddie was destined to win the other match that he was in, I think. So I don't think he's going to win this. I think Aaron Rex wins here. And then if Aaron Rex wasn't the guy that was supposed to win, I think Galloway's not going to be out very long. So you can always transition it back to him on Impact if you need to later on.
Yeah, I think you guys are completely correct on that. All along, I felt like Galloway was going to win this match. I just think that it makes more sense for Aaron Rex to chase that title than just get it immediately. But in this situation, in this scenario, I think he's got to get it. So let's talk about the Great War. Now, this is going to be exciting for me. And me and Paul just went through this whole thing about how much we're loving this whole storyline. And Sean, I'm very curious what you think is going to happen in the Great War. How do you feel like it's going to turn out?
It's this is for the tag titles, right?
Yeah. It is.
Okay, well, this is the Hardys all the way. I don't think that there's any question about that. The Decay have done a great job of trying to sell you, and that they are equals to the Hardys in this feud. They've built this up all the time for the Hardys to win about the tag titles. And perhaps they don't do all the title switches here, and that's fine. But I think there's one that you have to do here, and that's having the Hardys win the Great War. I know you're going to be looking for, I don't know who the heck you're going to have be the challengers for them after the Decay gets their rematch. But you cross that bridge when you come to it. The Hardys being tag champions is a selling point for the company, and gold, everything else, TNA.
Nailed it on the head. Broken Hardys to win the tag titles here. This match should really be something spectacular. I'm expecting something part in ring, sort of part crazy over the top production wise. Like, I feel like you're going to get a really nice hybrid of everything that's really made this feud click.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that. I think you're probably going to eventually get some more fireworks. I don't think they're going to be allowed to do that in the arena. I don't think that they may be able to do some small level type fireworks or something in there. I don't think to the level that we need to see. So I expect them to go maybe in the arena, then kind of move out to the parking lot, then maybe go back in or go in the back. But I agree with you. I think we're going to get a mixture of tape things along with some of the live in-ring action. I'm excited about that, but I also am excited about the fact that I think we're going to see blood spilled. I think we're going to see plenty of weapons. I think that you may even get a chance to see the drone live. You're going to see Senor Benjamin probably live. Things like that that we don't usually get to see. It's usually always taped. That's what's going to be so much exciting about this whole thing. So I'm thrilled about it. I'm with you guys. I really feel like the Hardys will win. But the Decay should look really well in this. I don't think that they're going to get just trashed. I think these guys are going to take it to the Hardys. They're going to make them scrap for everything they can to win this match. But it's going to be fun. If it's anything less than fun, we're all going to be disappointed. I think this is the biggest thing we want to watch on the show outside of that TNA World title. So, and talking about the TNA World title, let's talk about the fact that Bobby Lashley got control of the stipulations, and so now he decided he wants a no-holds-barred match against EC3, and this is going to be really fun to watch, I think. These two guys going at it, I think it's going to be a solid one, Paul.
I'm really looking forward to this match. Lashley has been awesome this year. EC3 has been equally great. Maybe not as great as last year, just because I don't think he's as entertaining as a face. But certainly this match should absolutely be something you're looking forward to. That being said, I think Lashley retains here. Moose is his next challenger. I think after this, they want to build that up into something big. And I think Moose is going to be the one that benefits the most from dethroning Lashley here. So I'm Lashley to retain.
Yeah, I don't think EC3 gets hurt at all if he goes down in a blaze of glory kind of thing where he fights all he can and it takes everything possible for Lashley to beat him. And I mean, they've been building up Drew and EC3 forever. I think you go with that whenever Drew comes back and is ready to go. I think Lashley retaining, like Paul said, and you go with Moose makes the most sense. I mean, if there's a guy to beat Lashley, sure, EC3 could do it. I don't think we can kind of put that out to pasture or anything, but I don't see the reason for Lashley to lose to somebody that's already been champion before. If Lashley's going to lose to somebody, it's going to be someone that they feel like can be a guy that they can elevate. And Lashley can do that for Moose, like Paul said.
Yeah, you guys bring up some great points, and you're really making me rethink my whole thought process on this, because my gut was they're going to send the crowd home happy. You know, EC3 walking out the champion, Lashley laying there disappointed. I mean, I kind of feel bad now. I'm not going to change my prediction. I usually don't, and I won't now. I'll stay with EC3 because I did put it in our roundtable that we had that I felt like EC3 was going to win. So I'm going to go that way. Although these guys have made me really question that thought process now. So you got to stick with them sometimes. But that is TNA's bound.
Well, I will say this. They will probably have some kind of random X Division title thing made up on the show because 6 matches are not going to fill 3 hours. So they had an X Division title match scheduled. They had to pull it because they put Eddie Edwards in there with Aaron Rex. And they had almost every other heavyweight in the Bound for Gold thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get either a multi-person or they just throw in DJZ against a random like Trevor Lee or Andrew Everett or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I'd be kind of interesting to see what they do come up with because of that.
Either way, DJZ's retaining. So
right, yeah.
There's no way he would lose. Yeah. So, all right.
You say that, but this is TNA's X Division. They don't.
Yeah, you're right. They don't care. You're right. But I think that they've got DJZ holding that belt for a reason. I really do. I don't know. You're right. They could definitely change him, but I think that they've got him going in a certain direction, and it's going to be a special opponent to take him down. Even if it is Braxton Sutter, I just feel like there's a special guy that's going to take him down. But that's Bound for Glory. We'll get into, of course, what's, happen next Monday, I'm sure. We'll be talking about that on the review. But now, basically we've run down all our shows, so we have to do some quick hits now, guys. So let's go ahead and start that out, and let's talk about some things that are going on in the world of wrestling and what's happened this past week. I do want to start with Drew Galloway, though, because that was the big breaking news coming out. Right here at Bound for Glory, everybody was expecting him and man, I'm going crazy. Him and Aaron Rex to be going at it for that grand championship. With him out of the picture now, that changes everything. What is going on with Drew Galloway? Do you know any more information, Paul, or Sean? I've not heard a lot about this injury.
I don't think they've been. I haven't heard any specifics, I should say. I know that his injury has thrown some Evolve booking into conflict too, with all that stuff that's going on down there. So I mean, like Sean said earlier, I know it's not supposed to be long term, but still, I mean, taking a month off for Drew's probably going to be rough, especially on Evolve, who had that big 6-man coming up between or the tag title match between Galloway and Dustin and Jesus, Cody Rhodes and I'm blanking. Anyways, that whole bit that they're doing down there, there's a big match building up for the next Evolve show there. So
okay, yeah.
Drew got hurt getting a DDT kind of move done on his neck, so it's a neck injury, and he was really close to being possibly paralyzed. So he got very lucky that he wasn't, and so that's why he's going to be doing a much quicker recovery than he would have had it been a break or any kind of other thing to his neck. So I think it's more of he suffered a bad injury. Let's keep him out for this. Let's keep him out for maybe the first couple of weeks of the tapings and then have him come back in. It's not supposed to be very long, but I mean, he was really, really close to it being something very bad.
Yeah, that's definitely scary, and I'm glad he's okay. That poor guy, imagine him being injured for a long period of time, or being, let's just be honest, in a terrible situation where he can't move anything. That's scary. I'm glad he's okay, but it is a big deal that he's injured. Like Paul just alluded to, he's missing Evolve, which has a lot of things set up for him. He's missing Impact, that has a lot of things set up for him. So hopefully he's back quicker than later.
So did you guys cover that there was we know that there was a show that happened tonight, but obviously due to the fact that there's no way we all had time to watch the Always pay-per-view that happened tonight, don't expect us to be reviewing that show on this episode. That's still happening on Monday.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. No, we did not mention that. We talked about a pre-show, but we did blanked about, so thank you, Sean. Sadly, we have not all got a chance to watch All-Star Extravaganza. That is definitely going to be a big deal for us next Monday. You don't want to miss that show. We'll be reviewing everything that happened, but right now we are all out of the loop because we've not.
Yeah, Monday is going to be a big show. We got Bound for Glory and that ROH show.
Yeah, so it's a don't miss show for sure. But let's talk about Impact. And there's a lot of stuff coming out still. We've been talking about this for a while now, but the rumor mill's been going and going and going about the sale of TNA, what's going to happen. We have Dixie Carter tweeting out not too long ago that, hey, if you're in the Orlando area, you need to be at those tapings because we have a big announcement. And some people are speculating that she has a big announcement because of just that. Maybe the sale of the company or maybe some other things that have taken place. Maybe the financial situation's different now. I don't know personally, but what do you think about that? What are you going to predict? I mean, I don't really know myself.
A lot of people have been hopeful that they'll sort this all out, especially with Billy Corgan buying it. I don't know if Impact is worth saving at this point, and that's not to say that the idea of TNA should die or anything like that, and it certainly would suck to lose a promotion, but there's, like, the debt is more than what the company is worth, which is just awful, and, like, there's been so much damage to the brand name and everything, and there's there's so much working against it to try to pull it out of this hole that maybe you should just let it go and try to build up something new in its shadow. So I'm gonna say that she's selling it.
I mean, she's definitely going to sell it. There's no doubt she's selling it to somebody.
It just won't be Billy, is what I'm saying.
I don't. It's the thing is, I don't think, honestly, for me, whatever their deal is, they might announce it on one of those tapings, whatever week it is that they decide to do this. But supposedly, the thing is, I cannot imagine they're going to do it at those tapings, is because, like, last time Billy Corgan was on some kind of radio show, he said this could take weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This could be taking like a month for them to sort all this out. So I cannot imagine that in 2 days, Dixie, who's been the one that's holding up all these sales, this whole thing with the sale, is going to make a decision in 2 days. Navy Bound for Glory goes great, and then she thinks otherwise, but I just can't imagine that. There's, like Paul noted, there's other logistics that are going into this. They might have to file for bankruptcy. There's that whole thing Paul mentioned about them being more worth than anything. I mean, do they lose any of their TV contracts because of this? Because their ratings in the UK are not doing anything what they used to. So that TV deal is going down a bit as well. So you still don't know what's going to happen with the India one, because they still haven't had the India tour that they're supposed to do that's part of that deal. So to me, do you want to see it live? Sure, because you don't want all these guys, because there's going to be guys here that WWE's not even going to think about picking up.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how much, you might be a TNA fan and go, oh man, that guy's great or whatever. Vince and Triple H, whoever, they're going to assess who they got here, and they're going to say, okay, we're going to try to see if we can get the Hardys. We're going to see if we can get Lashley and EC3 and maybe a couple of, Galloway back. Sandow probably, is probably not coming. But, I mean, maybe Maria or something like that. But it's going to be a very Moose, obviously, they're going to try to grab, but it's going to be a very few. And, the rest of those guys are going to have to go somewhere else and try to find work, or they're going to have to go back to the Indies. And it's one less company for guys to have work, and that's what sucks. Now, as a company, as the figureheads of this company, do you want them to really keep existing? No, but honestly, if I'm Billy Corgan, if Billy Corgan's the one that buys it, and even Aerolux, if they're the ones that buy it, Billy Corgan, I think, has the right idea. Just strip it of everything TNA. Just take it away. Just look, TNA has a great history, and you know what? You can have that history. You can take that history and give it to WWE, and you can give them all the tape library and everything else, and go, okay, here's our old tape library. We don't need this because we're a different company now. We're called something else. We're doing something different, and that's the only way I think they're going to really be able to survive this. Because I'm happy for them that they got their biggest rating ever since they've been on Pop TV, and that's awesome with this week's show that you guys just talked about. But the only way this company's going to do anything is if they move away from being TNA, and Billy Corgan is able to use his image and his whatever creative and say, okay, this is something brand new you guys have never seen. It might be using a bunch of TNA guys that you all know, but it's something different, and get that stigma, get that whatever of TNA off you, and maybe you get new people into the product because it's named something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way that they are going to climb out of that hole. I really do. I mean, I know people have been clamoring about that too. It's just the fact of the matter of it's a little bit tainted, and if you want to truly go in a new direction, you've got to have an image change as well. You can't just keep slapping the same old paint on something that you feel like is new. So I think they got to fix this. They got to figure it out.
Keep putting new coats of paint on something that never, like it'd be like let's just put orange paint over the paint that's been white for 2 years. It's still the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's still the same door, the same wall. You're not really doing much with it.
Yeah, very true. They're not. And let's see, I'm really curious about this announcement. I'm hoping we get to hear something really, really soon. And I'm sure by next week we will be talking about what actually happened. I'm sure that will break before we know it. So we'll continue following that storyline for sure. Here's something that's really cool that I'm excited about. I'm sure Paul really is excited about this too. And I would not be surprised if you're not already looking for tickets, Paul. But it has been pretty much announced that the Royal Rumble in 2017 will be at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas.
That's really cool. I might try to go. I have always wanted to see a Royal Rumble live. My dad's always wanted to see a Royal Rumble live, so I might see if we can't make this work. But San Antonio's a long drive.
Yeah, it's what I think. I'm trying to think offhand. I've been there. Isn't it 4? I thought it was 4 hours. Am I wrong? Is it 5 hours?
It's
I
four
thought it was
hours.
I thought it was
4 or
4 hours.
5. I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a haul. I agree, and I know people in other states may be like, "Good God, you." But when you live in Texas, you kind of get used to driving a distance to get anywhere because the state's freaking huge. Whereas some people can cross their state in 45 minutes. So
Right.
it's just it is a long haul, but it's going to be something special. I would love to go, and I don't know, maybe I will. We'll see. But I think this is really cool. I wonder why they chose the Alamo Dome. What do you?
Well,
Which,
no, the one part of it is there's also this is the 20-year anniversary of the last time they had it in the Animal Dome, and which was Shawn and Sid for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have that this is the biggest building that you have in San Antonio. So they feel like this is Royal Rumble. We don't need to have it in the AT&T Center. We're bigger than that. Let's shoot for the Alamo Dome. So that's my reasoning. Anyway.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense, and I really never put that together. But you're right about that. I think that's exactly why they're doing this. So I'm excited. I really, really am. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope I do get to go. I definitely.
I'm glad it's not in LA. They've had so many shows in LA and whatever. I mean, it's not like we just have, like you said, Gary. It's not like we just hear about all these big pay-per-views happening in San Antonio all the time. So this is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Let's talk about something that's not so exciting. Jamie Noble sadly was attacked at his home, and this actually happened on Wednesday. He was stabbed twice. There was a dispute. Basically, a vehicle pulled up behind his while he was about to walk into his home, which is kind of a trailer home. And the guys claimed that he cut him off. Jamie Noble took the guy down. His friends jumped out of the car, stabbed him once in the upper back and once in the lower back. And that lower back stab wound, apparently it was very close to his spine, if not right at his spine. So that is very concerning. He is still recovering. But unless you guys have heard any more updates, I've not heard any other further details on this. But this is definitely sad news. I hate to hear this, especially if it's anything life-threatening, life-changing. This is just a bummer because Jamie Noble just seems to be such a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable that stabbed twice is just horrific. Last I heard was critical condition. That's been a while ago though now, so hopefully this guy, hopefully Jamie Noble pulls through.
Yeah, I mean let's hope for Jamie Noble. Let's be praying for Jamie Noble and that this guy can go back to living his life and being the way he was before. I mean, this was kind of sad to hear that he's just defending himself and somebody has to go in and just and you have these terrible people that what happens on the road, leave it on the road. You don't need to go take it into somebody's home. And it's like, who cares? You got cut off. Did you get hit? No, then just shut up and go on. So stupid, this road rage crap, but that goes beyond road rage. Just get over yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really sad about this is this can completely change his career because every week he's on the road, and if he has any lingering injuries, he may not be able to travel like that anymore, and that's going to change his life completely. So, I like I said, hopes and prayers go out to him. I just hate to hear it, especially about a guy that is so nice and just seems to be really top notch. We are now informed, though, guys, that Akira Tozawa will be reporting to WWE after November 3rd. And we also have some news that Grand Metalik will probably be a week before that.
All right, good news. Both guys are awesome. Can't wait to see them in that division. Hopefully WWE figures it out before these guys get there.
Yeah, same here. Hopefully they do figure it out, because these two are really key pieces to making that division work, and it'd be nice for them to have an idea of what they want for it by then.
Yeah, definitely. Some great stuff coming. Let's quickly touch on New Japan. Now, we have some more revenue numbers. We all have some stuff about the, New Japan world. Just anything that you guys want to take out of? There's a lot here, a lot to jump into, but I know you guys want to kind of touch on a few things.
I mean, the first thing is obviously, Paul asked about these numbers previously. We talked about, I think, revenue that they had made for the year or whatever, and they are at 40,000, which is nowhere near the 100,000 that Kadani has wanted for a while, which is still a nice number considering that streaming services just they're not a thing in Japan. They're just really not. And so, and 8,000 of that comes outside of Japan. So that's about almost 20% of what the whole mark is. It comes out of Japan. So obviously, all the people like us or whatever that have been hearing about this thing are subscribing, and that's good.
Yeah, some stuff here just sort of about generational differences between wrestling over there is fairly interesting. Granted, I'm not done reading it now, but sort of talking wrestling back in the 80s and 90s in Japan was on prime time. Now it's not, and it's sort of created a generational difference between these guys because newer fans, they're taping it on DVR and watching it later, and it's not really growing the brand as much as finding it in prime time is. It's sort of like a reason why WWE covets that prime time spot so much is it gives people opportunities to watch them no matter what. So,
And they are selling a ton of merch.
Yeah.
So the merch sales for the house shows and everything are really good, and a lot of the people that are going are younger. So that's good. That's good for your product, that you're not getting just, we talk about how a lot of the wrestling watchers in the United States, or at least on the ratings that they can measure, are around, you get some that are from the 12 to 17, of the 18 to 34, 18 to 49s or whatever. You get a lot of over 50 people watching, and so at least going to these live events or whatever, you get a good mixture of people in their 20s, and you get a good mixture of people 35 to 40 or whatever. So that's really good for them, that the show and New Japan is growing as the years go by, so that's a good thing. And that they've posted a $32 million gross with a positive profit. And when you look at what he invested about like $5 million in the company, and he's been able to turn that into a big profit. So, and they did their profit over what they did last year. So that's good. Everybody kept saying, oh my God, the company's going down because Nakamura and AJ and everybody left, and things are good. Looks like.
Yeah, and this is gonna be really cool to to kind of continue to follow. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Let's talk about Kadani. He is opening up his own kickboxing promotion. Wow, that's kind of interesting.
It is interesting, chiefly because apparently his thought process is UFC is king of MMA, WWE is king of pro wrestling, and sort of seems like he's sailing the boat on trying to get New Japan to compete with them, which is probably a good idea. And he wants to open this so it can be a dominant force in kickboxing and sort of be what K1 used to be. An interesting concept, certainly something that I'm sure can do lucrative business, at least in Japan. I don't know about overseas, but
yeah, I mean, this is something that hopefully works out for him. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a WBF situation where you have this great idea and then it doesn't work out as well as you envision. Because you don't want him losing money on other things that could have gone to New Japan or could have gone to other things that he's doing. So, you know, I hope it turns into good things for him.
Definitely. Let's, last here, we have some stuff we want to kind of touch on of Lucha Underground, and there's a few notes that we have here. Of course, we do have our sheet, and I'll let you guys take a look at that. But, there's been some talk about, their intergender matches and the way Lucha Libre has done it traditionally and some things like that. But, Sean, anything you wanted to touch on specifically when it comes to these Lucha Underground stuff?
Well, just that Lucha Underground has really made it a thing for intergender wrestling, and at least on TV. Obviously, the indies have been doing that for a while, much longer. But that, people always think about, oh, well, all Lucha Libre does this. And it's not true. CMLL doesn't do it at all. And AAA, apparently, until very recently, wasn't doing it very much either. And not in straight-up men versus women matches. So you've still got Lucha Underground kind of leading the way with that. So I found that interesting, that things that we kind of thought we took for granted were not always true about Lucha Libre in Mexico, at least.
I'm really surprised if people thought that this was the baseline for Lucha Libre. Lucha Underground's a vastly different promotion from, I think, anything going on in the world. It's a mixture of American sports entertainment with independent style wrestling with Lucha Libre overtones and a soap opera thrown in. And it sort of all comes together to make this really unique thing. Obviously, I mean, they make a good point here in this article that intergender wrestling is something they had to do. They didn't have enough women in the first season, and so they had to use Sexy Star against men and Evilise against men. And honestly, I think out of all the promotions I've watched, these guys, Lucha Underground, Chikara, have really done it best so far. And I think it's just because Lucha really lends itself to that. You don't have to be a big, strong person in Lucha Libre to really look like you're doing damage, because you can do all these high-risk moves and everything, and a lot of the momentum moves that Lucha is famous for, and I think it works out really well in intergender matches.
Yeah, and I do want to say I apologize for. So there was a thread that we had in the group. I don't know how, a while back, where I said Cage was dating the wrong person, and that person was right. Cage and Melissa Santos were dating at one point. But apparently, I don't know what's up with Cage's head. Like, why would you want to cheat on Melissa Santos? But that's neither here nor there. I mean, we don't know. Maybe Melissa Santos is crazy for all we know. But social media probably isn't the best place to be airing your dirty laundry. Just saying. But that's just something to be said there. I mean, I don't know. Like, anytime I hear about somebody complaining about, oh, she did me wrong and all this, whatever, and I'm just like, why are you talking about this on Facebook? Like, just saying.
Yeah. Definitely a bad PR move, using social media to air all your nasty, dirty laundry. So, oh boy. Well, that, pretty much wraps up our quick hits for this week, guys. We've had a lot of interesting stuff to get into. I definitely hope you've enjoyed some of the things we've got to talk about. But now we've pretty much run through everything we need to run through. The last thing we have to do, though, now is crown a superstar of the week. And
we got to talk NXT, Gary.
Oh my God, you've oh, thank you. Actually, I did this in the wrong order, Sean. I was actually going to do NXT then Quick Hits, but I got excited about you being on the show that I completely forgot NXT. So thank you, Paul, once again, saving our lives.
I also should mention that there was a WWE does have a new TV partner in Germany. So they had lost their Germany TV deal at one point last week, and the same TV station that airs SmackDown now airs Raw as well, and it's on a free air station, so that's good because more people can watch it. The only thing that sucks is that apparently this station is very quick to throw stuff off the air if it doesn't get ratings. So WWE could find itself in the same situation again if for some reason Raw and SmackDown don't get ratings for that channel. So that's something very interesting to monitor, because obviously Germany, they have German announced teams at the pay-per-views now and all that stuff. So they're obviously investing, and they have a German. German is one of the languages they have on the network for the pay-per-views. So this is something interesting to think about if you're interested in the business stuff. What if they wind up without a TV partner again? How does this affect them going forward with how big they think Germany is as far as their international markets and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Lots of stuff to think about when it comes to that, for sure. Yeah, and please forgive me. Once again, I am medicated a little bit, trying to get over this whole allergy stuff, and I just completely blanked about NXT. But we are going to talk about that, and so let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and jump into that.
Yeah, so we opened this week's episode of NXT with William Regal standing in the empty Full Sail University, and he announces that the Dusty Road Classic is going to go down again this year, with the finals taking place at TakeOver Toronto, and that the first round will begin next week, which set the internet all a-tither. And then we go right into our opening matches. Ty Dillinger takes on Angelo Dawkins and beats him in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, nothing super special here. Just to get away to get a victory for him. So I mean, that's about it, really.
I'm sorry if you're hearing more ambient noise than normal. The sprinklers just came on in my yard here, so that's just fun. I'm having to avoid getting splashed with water.
Yeah. Poolside with Sean Garmer. I like that.
Yeah, but
practicing for W2M Puerto Rico.
That's right.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to infringe on the guy's gimmick that does the reviews in the hot tub. Certainly not doing that. But if you don't know, there is a guy that actually, I don't know why you wouldn't know him. He's actually a pretty popular guy on the internet, but he does YouTube videos where he reviews shows in his hot tub. But anyway, Ty Dillinger, just beating a guy and beating Angelo Dawkins, who again, I like Angelo Dawkins. I did like the fact that Corey Graves brought up that maybe Angelo Dawkins should kind of earn him doing some of the stuff that he does and all that, and not just think of himself as, I should be doing the stirring thing and doing the LeBron deal that LeBron does with the chalk before the games and all that stuff. I thought that was an interesting little deal that Corey Graves brought in there. But again, Angelo Dawkins, one of these guys, is a performance center guy, and he's going to get passed over sometimes for some of the bigger talent.
Which is really a shame. I like Angelo a lot. I think he has a lot to bring to the table. I think he has a lot of in-ring charisma. I think he's just a personality. I think he would want to push at some point. And I mean, yeah, you said all the influx of talent that's coming in NXT. If you don't have something top-notch, you're going to get passed over pretty quick. So,
yeah.
Ty Dillinger is preparing to leave. However, Glorious hits the speakers, and out comes Bobby Roode and says that Ty Dillinger's performance was just simply impressive, and he's teasing Glorious throughout this whole promo, and he's not saying it but until he gets to the very end, where he mentions that the main reason he came to NXT was to compete in and win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but he needs a partner, but not just any partner, the perfect partner, and I'm sorry to say, buddy, but Mr. Perfect has since gone on to heaven, but it's okay, he's got the perfect 10 Ty Dillinger to be perfectly glorious. And then they shake hands, and I marked out. End story.
It's an awesome tag team name, too.
It's not, and actually this is smart. I like these two guys together. I'm excited about seeing what they can do and how far they go.
Yeah, me too. Hideo Itami gets a promo talking about his match with Lince Dorado tonight, and then he brings up that Austin Aries is just a baby. He needs to go to sleep, so I'm sure he'll be ready to tuck him in come Toronto.
I love it. This is funny, and it's kind of weird to say, guys. I don't know about you. I'm still yet to jump on the Hideo Itami train of being excited. I think he's cool. I think it's great that he's back, but I'm yet to just be like, man, he's really getting me excited about this match. I don't know. I like the aggressive personality change in a way, but at the same time, it's just I'm not back in that mode of just being a big fan favorite of his yet.
We haven't gotten to see him in a big competitive match yet either. It's just been Squash City for him recently.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. Next up, we have an NXT or a non-title match with the Revival taking on the Early Brothers or the Ely Brothers or however you say their names. The match never gets started though. Samoa Joe just blows right past the Revival, walks into the ring, kills the Jobbers, and addresses William Regal and tells him that these guys were just the first victims of Regal not making a decision, and the beatings will continue until he either gets Nakamura or the NXT Championship. And then we get a vignette for the hyping up the debut of Dan Matha, the big giant man.
The big giant man.
The big giant man.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see this big giant when he appears. But the guy that we are seeing on our screen is Samoa Joe, and once again, just good stuff. He's aggressive. He's showcasing that he's not going to put up with anything. And William Regal, you're not going to boss him around. He's going to try to boss William Regal around. I'm once again still interested in what he's got. So we'll see.
Yeah, Joe doing his thing. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully this will pay off sooner rather than later, but I guess it all depends on how long they're going to sit Nakamura. Next up, though, you got Ember Moon taking on Mandy Rose, another squash pretty much to show off Ember's offense. Mandy gets a little bit here and there. She's no match for the O-Face, though.
Not many people are going to be matched for the O-Face at all.
Yeah.
It's glad that they added some story to this a little bit. Ember Moon wins as you would expect, and here you go.
But how many people want to see that O face when it comes to Mandy Rose? I'm sure a lot. So,
boy. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah. But anyway,
I'm sure her husband probably would have a lot to say about that.
You think so? You think he would? Yeah, probably.
I'm sure he wouldn't want her showing her
I'm sure not.
all,
I love this. This is just fun. What a name. But yeah, Amber Rose. Whatever. Ember Moon. I'm sorry, Ember Moon. She's doing great. Now I'm thrown off completely. Let's move on.
Gary's making up wrestlers now. That's not good.
That would be the next.
I'm just thinking about the O face. We must move on.
Gargano and Champ.
Secretly saying that he wants to see Mandy Rose.
No, I'm just not saying. I'm just saying. I think it's. I don't know. We'll continue on.
Gargano and Ciampa getting interviewed backstage. They talk about sending the Revival off in their fight after the Cruiserweight Classic and everything, and they talk about the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and how they made their debut in it last year, and they want to win it this year. And so they've earned a spot, and they are indeed in that tournament. Then we get a Sanity vignette, and then the Authors of Pain kill some jobbers.
I would say that I think we may get the same sort of storyline as last year. And I'm not going to hate on it because they did it really well last year, and I think they can do it even better this year because you actually have the history of Gargano and Ciampa being together. And then you have Ciampa turn on Gargano after the tournament. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, I love Tommaso Ciampa, so, if he has to be by himself eventually, I think this is going to work out great if they do it just the way Sean's saying, and I think it'll make that more impactful when it happens. So, and of course, Authors of Pain, I love them still, Still not a lot said. Paul Ellering kind of said a little bit more here, but not enough. So we will continue on with that mystery.
Yeah, they're just here to seemingly beat up jobbers, and that's okay with me. I think Gargano and Ciampa, they're going to win those tag titles first, and I think they drop them very quickly, Authors of Pain, and that's what causes the turn. I don't think they're going to repeat last year's story, but they very well might. I don't want them to keep going to that old hat for this tournament,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go. That's it. That's all
I've got some scrolling to do. Here's why.
Okay, sorry. No, the Authors of Pain, though, I would be honest with you, I'm really wondering how much more they will use Paul Ellering, what he is going to say. I think it is kind of funny they are taking this as a let's go slow as we can approach. But is there really a whole lot to say when they're just destroying people? I guess not. But I would love to hear more in-depth information. So.
As would I. Yeah, just building characters for them I think would be cool too, other than just, big monsters. Regal's interviewed in the back about Nakamura and Joe. He's got no update on Nakamura because it's hard to get a hold of him. And then he's asked about Dusty Rhodes Classic teams, and then that's when Banff shows up, Blake Murphy, excuse me. And they want a spot even though they're still having those lover quarrels that they have, even though I think they've broken up like 3 times now. Regal suggests that they just try to sort things out first. God love you, Regal.
Yeah, he's like, you boys go to the E Network and take care of this, then come back.
Dynamite Regal impression, Gary.
Which the one, speaking of the E Network, that Total Bella show debuts this week, so check that out.
Yeah, there you go. You can see more in-depth information about what's going to happen with Daniel Bryan living under John Cena's house rules.
Should be some fun, actually.
I still don't know if I'm gonna watch that. What I took great enjoyment in watching was Asuka murdering Liv Morgan in less than a minute. Liv hits a couple of moves, Asuka no-sells the entire time, big kick to the face, taps her out. Done.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's all I needed.
I knew it. It's just, you gotta feel bad for Liv Morgan, though. For God's sakes, I mean, she's been working really hard to get to this point, and it's just death.
No one is ready for Asuka.
Yeah,
no one.
That's true. I agree. I mean, she's showcasing that she is the most dominant in that division, and maybe even in some of the men's division too, as strong as she is. So, yeah, if I was Angela Dawkins, I'd stay away from her too.
True story. Asuka gets an interview afterwards, and she's asked about who's next on her list. There's no list. Nobody's ready for her. I'm pretty sure she just shit-kicked the list anyways. So next week, the Revival take on Cedric Alexander and Andrade Almas in Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic action. And then we get to the main event. Hideo Itami taking on Lince Dorado. Goes about 8 minutes. Hideo wins. Really strong, I think, showcase match for Hideo here, even though I think Lince more than holds his own here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Agreed that Lince got to look good here. Hideo got to do his deal, wins with the GTS, and yeah, I mean, that's what you get, but I'm glad we got a little match here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Austin Aries attacks him afterwards. I should mention that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the biggest key here. I mean, we had a great match, and of course that happening, it makes all the sense in the world, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys.
The best thing is Aries just acting like, I did something awesome because I happened to get him out of the ring.
He lived without taking a knee to the face. Strong accomplishment.
It's beautiful.
That's your NXT.
Speaking of legs to the face, though, guys, we announced some teams for this, but Hideo Itami and Kota Ibushi are a team in the Tag Team Classic.
Oh, I think I just picked another favorite. Just to go off Asuka's list, Kiss is on that list. I'll say that. So let's sing that song together when we watch Kota Ibushi, and that's gonna be amazing.
You had Kenta Fuji, now you get Kota and Kenta.
Oh man,
I'd watch that sitcom.
Yeah. That would be very interesting. So, but yeah, that's NXT. We are now finally, going to move on to that when I try to previously get to and on accident, which is our Superstar of the Week, guys. And this is exciting. And, of course, here's something that we did not discuss pre-show that we may need to think about, because Sean, are we going to do this next week?
No. The show was not supposed to be today, so technically we are still running off of September 30th. So no, the month stuff will be next week.
Okay, thank you. just double checking and make sure I was not wrong. So we are going to just do.
But that being said, Bound for Glory and all that stuff will not count because it's technically in October.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I mean, I don't know. Do we count the stuff for that week too? I don't remember how we do this.
Even if we go by how I keep it in the doc, it goes from Sunday to Saturday, so it wouldn't count.
Okay.
Yep. That's fine. So there you go. Now we got that cleared up. Let's go ahead and do our Superstar of the Week. And with 1 point, we have the New Day, which they retain their titles at Clash of Champions.
Not just one time, but 2 time at Clash at Raw as well. Anderson and Gallows might as well just be sailed down the river at this point. But the New Day rock. They continue to hold those belts, and let's hope they can move on to something more interesting now.
And Roman Reigns is going to get 2 points from this week, the U.S. champion.
Yeah, Roman Reigns, U.S. champ, winning in a match that we thought he would. Go him.
With 3 points, AJ Styles. That's right, he put the belt up for grabs against Ambrose and was victorious.
He sure did. Great match on SmackDown, a terrific main event, even if it was squirrely in the finish. But AJ continuing to look absolutely awesome since the brand split.
And we had to do this. The 4 points had to go to this team. We did not get a chance to check it out yet, but we have to give them the credit. The Young Bucks, they apparently had an amazing match at All-Star Extravaganza, and it would just be an injustice if we didn't put them on this list.
Spoilers, by the way, folks.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Wow, we just,
well, we had to. We couldn't miss them this week.
It's true.
Yeah, very true. Well, technically, we shouldn't be putting them on there because the show wouldn't have happened had we not had to do it today. So, but just saying for reference. But yeah, I mean, they deserve to. You win, yeah. You're double champions in 2 different promotions. I mean, and the match was great. So,
3 technically. They're still PWG Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
Wow, those guys are just golden. Wow. With 5 points, a guy that I hold close to my heart, Naito.
Yeah, Tetsuya Naito wins the Intercontinental Championship from Michael Elgin. Sort of a, I don't want to say consolation prize, but certainly nothing wrong with being the 1A situation.
Certainly not. Great match, best match on the show, that card, so definitely worth it.
Yeah, and it's always a good week when I can say my boy Naito is Superstar of the Week. Oh, it feels good saying that. I love it. I hope I get to say it a lot more. But anyway, there you go, guys. This Superstar of the Week. And, of course, that's the end of our show. We want to thank everybody for coming and checking this out. And, of course, don't forget, you need to go check out the W2M Network. If you're not subscribed already, go subscribe. W2Mnet.com will have our roundtable, and that's right, for Bound for Glory. So you don't want to miss that roundtable. It's really cool. We get a little bit of a written talk about some of the big matches coming up, some predictions. You heard a little bit about it tonight, but you want to read more, you need to go to W2Mnet.com to get more information about Bound for Glory. Besides that, I mean, Sean, I know, once again, you're out of town, but we have some other things going on the W2M Network, don't we?
Not so far. I mean, I just haven't been able to. I mean, the Running Wild does have a podcast that you can listen to them on their own iTunes if you'd like. This is the first time I've been able to touch a computer in about 3 days. So I may get, I don't know, because my dad's, internet is kind of very, basic. So I don't know if I'd be able to upload that to the network or not. That's the only show that's sort of there because I've got to talk to Stephanie about the Foxy and Squid. And of course, Fantasy Football to the Max is there. Randy and Mike continue to do their thing. And of course, we'll be doing the football show as well. So that continues on later after we do this. So
Yeah, some great stuff coming your way. We just want you guys to be, aware of all that information. And of course, we will be back live on Spreaker on Monday night, and of course on Thursday night next week. But if you want to catch us on the download, of course, we'll be available Tuesday morning and Friday morning for you guys. Next week, of course, part 1 will contain Ring of Honor's All-Star Extravaganza and Bound for Glory. Both those reviews will be on those shows. Plus, we'll be talking, of course, what happened in Ring of Honor, the TV taping following that big All-Star Extravaganza. And, of course, once again, we always do reviews for Raw and SmackDown. You don't want to miss those either. So, great stuff coming your way next week. You don't want to miss any of it. So, there you go, guys. Once again, we appreciate you. For myself, for Sean, and for Paul, if you're not living life to the max.
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Bye, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.